Hello everybody, welcome back to the Vegan Runner. It is blowing an absolute hoolie out here, so I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear this. Storm Eunice has just passed through. We've been without power since the early hours of Friday. It's day 3 now, it's Sunday. Time for a long run. It's not going to stop me from doing my long run. 12 miles at marathon pace, with a couple of miles warmed down either side. So around about 15 miles today. We'll see how it goes against this wind. Gale force wind still coming in. Just going to lean into it. Let the heart rate tell me what to do. And enjoy the ride. I'll probably do a little bit of filming, but save the speaking for when I get back and snug in front of the fire. And I'll give you an update on the Brighton Marathon journey so far.
Well, I'm glad to be back and next to this lovely fireplace. That was a pretty challenging 16-mile run, horizontal rain, plenty of fallen trees to navigate, and wind so strong you really had to sort of kind of lean into it to feel like you're just moving forward. So anyway, despite the conditions though, I'm pretty happy with the effort, with the conditions as they were. I wasn't quite sure what to expect really in terms of pacing, so I was relying on my heart rate data to keep me working and running in that correct zone. Overall, I think it went alright. I'll pop the data up on the screen for you now so you can take a look. I hope you've been alright and you're safe in this past week. What a week we've had in the UK. 3 storms in the space of 5 days and stronger winds than I think anything I've ever experienced in my lifetime anyway. So yeah, and our power went down like many others across the country on Friday morning, and it wasn't restored until just now when I got back home from this run on Sunday afternoon. So that's a pretty lovely thing to come home to. I'll tell you, we've missed electricity for the last couple of days. Now, the storms and being without power for more than 48 hours have presented some challenges. In terms of training, with a red warning issued by the Met Office for wind, that pretty much knocked Friday's session on the head. Now, I don't mind running in strong winds, but one look at how our trees and power lines and hedges were swinging back and forward was enough to make me think twice about it. Along with the power cut, I think the 4G telephone masts were knocked out too, so We've been without any phone signal and limited phone batteries for the weekend, meaning I couldn't keep up to date with all the parkrun cancellations. So now, understandably, on Thursday night, the event organisers were cancelling left, right and centre here in Devon, and without being able to check on Saturday morning, we decided to have a lie-in. This means next week will be parkrun filming week, which means you just have more time to vote for which parkrun you want to see next. Now, it's a dead heat at the moment between Torbay Velo Park and Plym Valley, so I've set up a new poll to find a winner. So, to vote, head to the main channel page and select the community tab where you'll find the poll, and we'll go wherever gets the most votes. Right, so Brighton Marathon training. This is my first main update since starting the plan at the beginning of December. We're 11 weeks into the plan with 7 weeks to go. So how's it all shaping up? So following my first marathon last October at Manchester, which I ran in 2:57, something like that, following the 80-20 marathon level 1 plan, I was keen to step it up a gear and try the level 2 plan. I ran 2:57 fairly comfortably, about as comfortably as you can run a sub-3 marathon, and I came away from it thinking that I can beat that and I can go faster. And I think in terms of like long term, maybe I don't think 2:30 is out of the question in a few marathons time. Bit of real hard work there to knock off that time, but in the short term, a sub 2:40, 2:45 I think is within my reach. And the thinking was, with a little more mileage as per the level 2 plan, I might just be able to grasp it anyway. So that was the thinking. How's it gone so far? So the level 2 plan steps up a gear, not only in the added mileage, but every 2 out of 3 weeks you run 7 days a week, which I was always keen to try as I've never done this before. So on paper, a pretty good plan, but in reality, it hasn't quite gone that way at all. Now, I'll throw up on the screen my Training Peaks calendar now so you can see exactly what I mean here as I talk you through it. So here horizontally we have the training plan running week by week, starting on the 7th of December. You can see the workouts are colour coded. Yellow means the workout is either 50 to 80% under planned values or 120 to 150% over planned values. Orange means under 50% of the workout was completed, and red means the session wasn't completed, and green means it was. Sometimes here you can see 2 workouts. I think there was a little bit of an overlap between the training plan I was doing to maintain fitness leading up to taking on the marathon block and the start of the marathon level 2 plan here. So that might be in this first week why we're seeing 2 workout sessions there. So you can see there's plenty of red and orange in the first week. The yellow you can see here is where I ran Plymouth Central Park Run. I missed the fartlek session on the Friday, so I thought I could push a bit harder on the Saturday to replace the speed work. Then on Sunday, this is where we went for a long trail run. So a run that should have been about an hour or so, about 8 miles, turned into 3 hours as Rachel unfortunately twisted her ankle and we ended up walking a stretch of the way back. So yeah, that's why it turned into a 3-hour trail run as opposed to something just over an hour or so. The next week worked out a bit better with plenty of green. I missed Monday's recovery run following the previous day's escapade, as well as the foundation run on Thursday, but otherwise a pretty decent second week. Week 3, Christmas week, I skipped both of the foundation runs and the long run on Sunday, which I moved to Monday of week 4. Week 4 was a lot better, again just skipping 1 foundation run, and week 5 was the most consistent so far, with a fully green week and my first ever full week of running. Week 6 wasn't too bad. I missed the progression run on Tuesday but hit my targets in the rest of the sessions before a bit of a disaster of a week 7 and week 8 with so much red it's pretty uncomfortable to even look at. Week 9 is a little better and I enjoyed the fast finished long run on that Sunday. As the name suggests, the last 10 minutes are at a faster pace in zone 3. Now on that route, the last couple of miles takes me up a huge local hill, and it was great fun pushing to overtake a cyclist going up the same hill. So that brings us to week 10 now, where except for Monday, everything else is green. Saturday's run should be green, but I split the run up into different sections, individual workouts, so that's why it looks like a bit strange on this calendar, but it's a foundation run that I split up into 3 sections. A slow kind of warm-up, a faster park run, I can't remember what it was, about just under 20 minutes I think, and then a cool down couple of miles as well. So this brings us up to this week, week 11, except Monday's recovery run and Friday's speed work, which I skipped because of the red weather warning. Apart from that, it's gone to plan and a pretty positive week. So this is pretty unusual for me. Compare this to both plans that I followed last year, and you can see that I'm usually a lot more consistent. In last year's half marathon plan, I didn't miss a single session. I was running 6 times a week. And in the marathon plan, I missed 2 or 3 sessions at most. So what is going on? Well, I think the thing that has had the biggest impact on this training block so far is our house move. We bought our first home a couple of weeks before this plan started, and it's been a bit of a renovation project, or a lot of a renovation project really. The house has a pretty sad recent history, and in the last couple of decades has just been slowly neglected. And moving in, we had to clean the house from top to bottom, scrubbing the walls and everything. It's the first time I've ever hoovered a wall, and just listen to Henry going to work on the carpet here upstairs. He's still sat in the corner of a room in shock. I'm afraid he hasn't quite recovered from that. Now, the inside was just as neglected as the outside as well, so every spare minute really has been spent clearing the garden, the house, and just removing a lot of what was left behind. We've pulled out 20 foot of jackdaw nest out of the chimney, replaced electrics, cleared 3 sheds, discovered we had some lovely flower beds under a load of weeds, replaced and repaired the garage roof as well, turned over the front lawn, which we're hoping to turn into a wildflower meadow, hopefully this spring or summer. So, no, I could probably go on forever as well. Lots and lots of work, lots of trips to the recycling centre. So it's been a bit of a full-on project really. Sometimes I've just been sort of too exhausted from all the work, and facing a run, on a cold winter's day was just too much sometimes. And then like building the wall on the garage roof, once you've mixed up a load of mortar, you're kind of stuck until you're finished, and then often I'll just get into something that I'm doing and I just completely lose the sense of time. And I think there's a lot to be said about being completely out of routine as well. So as we're trying to get used to living in this new place, we're doing lots of things differently and trying to get settled into new habits and things. Now things are starting to settle down a bit now. I think we're both realising that we need to just take the renovations just a little bit slower and accept that it can't all happen at once. It's tricky when pretty much everywhere you look is a job that you want to get completed, but before you do that job, there's a list of 20 other things you need to do in order to get that one job you're thinking of done well. But it isn't all bad. We had the stove installed a few weeks ago, which has brought the house to life really. It hadn't been used, we don't think, for at least a decade, maybe even longer, and our only heat source was some 30-year-old storage heaters. So to get the stove up and running has been absolutely brilliant. And we've just been blown away by how lovely all of our neighbours are here as well. There's a real sense of community, and everyone's been offering to help out in one way or another. It's just a really special place to live. Right, so back to running. There have been some gear issues as well. The tongue on the Adidas Ultra Boost 22 shoes caused a fair bit of ankle pain. I wasn't sure at first whether it was the shoe or it was a little niggle or something that I just needed to rest. Thankfully, I figured out what was causing the issue, and with the use of a heat gun, I managed to melt off the offending bit of foam up there that was just digging into the top of my ankle and causing quite a lot of pain on eventually on both ankles. So glad I've resolved that. I'm back to enjoying the Ultra Boost again, but it's been a pretty inconsistent training block for me so far. Today's run was a bit of a confidence boost though, so despite the awful conditions, I was still managing to average about 6:50 a minute mile for most of the 12-mile interval, with the exception of some downhill miles which were a fair bit faster, and then some miles coming back that were sort of head on into the wind, or I was dodging falling trees and all that kind of stuff. So a little bit, I think those miles were just a little bit under 6:50, but still sticking to the heart rate zone and everything, and you know, I think that was pretty good. Now that said though, to run a 2:45 marathon I'd have to be averaging a 6:17 minute mile. Now I think for Brighton, which is just 7 weeks out, I think that's just out of reach now, so I think I have to be realistic and readjust my goals. So for Brighton Marathon, my second marathon ever, I'm going to aim for a sub-3 and maybe, just maybe, hopefully PB. We'll see how it goes, but I'm committed to getting every session under my belt, making sure I'm as consistent as possible for the next 7 weeks to give myself the best opportunity to get under 3 hours again. I haven't done any research on the course though, so I'm pretty sure it's fairly flat. If anyone has run both Manchester and Brighton, if you can let me down in the comments what to expect and how they can compare, that would be a big help. I'm a little bit disappointed not to be attempting to knock off a big chunk from my marathon time, but I think it's going to pay to be realistic. I'm not even sure at the moment that I'm at the same fitness level that I was last October, so it's going to be a big push for fitness and, most importantly, consistency over the next 7 weeks. Starting from today, I'm going to try and eat as cleanly as possible and just cut out anything that isn't going to help me to achieve that goal. It's going to be a Herculean effort, but I'm feeling up for it. I'm trying to remember as well some of the mental tricks and techniques I've picked up over the years to get me out the door when I'm feeling that resistance to train. Just lately, Sebco's medals are won in winter and collected in summer is doing the trick, as well as the words of David Goggins. I think he says something like, the moments when you really feel like you don't want to train is when you need to get yourself out and train. And it's those moments that you develop real grit and resilience and mental toughness for the real challenge up ahead. So that's what's working for me at the moment. I'm also going to look into something that the 80-20 team have just brought out, which is a mental skills program. Now, from the quick look I've had so far, it looks like a mindfulness program. That's something I've been meaning to get into for a long while now, and I'd be interested to see how that works when you put an athletic spin on it. So that's where I am at the moment. I can't wait to get to Brighton and run in a big event again. I know there's going to be a lot of brilliant vegan runners there, all in the green and black, and I'll most certainly be taking the GoPro around once again to get all of the action mile by mile on camera, however it goes. I hope your training has gone better than mine so far. Let me know down in the comments what you do to get yourself out of the door and keep your training consistent. Or maybe you're like me and your training hasn't been as consistent as you would have liked so far, and you're in the sort of final weeks of your training program, and let me know what you're going to do to try and turn things around and do the best that you can. Finally, we are very, very close to reaching 1,000 subscribers. Now, as I film, I think we need about 17 or so until we hit that milestone, so there will be a 1,000 subscriber special coming soon, as well as a parkrun video next week, and my first run and initial review of the shoes that I think I'm going to be running the marathon in. They haven't arrived yet, but I'm expecting them any minute. I've run in a past iteration of this shoe, but I think this is the 3rd or 4th version of them. They've been out for a little while, but I'm excited to give them a try and see how they feel. So plenty to come on the channel. If you've got all the way to the end of this video, God bless you. And until the next one, be the best you.